connection, feel the loss, the pain of separation in you. Fill the void with sweet distraction, compensate with needy bonding, clinging on adrift in seas of emotion drowning. Which mountain will you carve today? Which river will you poison now? Which babies will you mark today? Which children will you put to sleep? Which adults line your cozy nest? Which slaves provide for your desires? Universal minds conforming, education spells dictating, carefully crafted echoes forming ego lives. Images like Polar buttons push our brains to plunder, innocence destroyed by wizard effigies. Emotions forming, anger, hatred, envy, warning, storms in nature's love, affection, craving, thoughts of system, lies of nature, blind to trauma, art and chaos, stumbling in the air of our creation that's in we never change our lives together. We never walk to freedom and peace. We neither love our hearts are beating. We always choose the fear inside. Always choose the fear inside. Where you smile and keep your heart in veils, your true thoughts hidden. Change your thinking, fit the current weather, the social climate, marching rhythm. Offer no resistance, just keep the rampage. Mold your children, push them into boxes. They name and change now. Innocence lost. Innocence lost. Innocence lost. Which mountain will you carve today? Innocence lost.
We're on the Tru-Mon show. We're live and direct. Episode 151 with my brother Arthur, sister Fiona, and brother Scott. How are you guys?
Good.
Well,
Very, very happy, and always I feel very fortunate always to be here with you and share those divine moments. This is for sure a follow-up on also on our discussion we were having on self-obsession, because it's very deep and there's stuff happening in real time pretty much all the time, constantly, either on Facebook, YouTube, or and yesterday we is it yesterday we did that? Saturday? Yeah, Saturday we had a chat, me, you, and Scott. We did it privately, but we released it after. It was just a matter of time, but yeah, it was pretty spontaneous, and we were talking about many stuff, especially the self-obsession. But also, I want to keep going on this, and especially with what's happening recently. And you know, the reason why we're talking about this in my heart, and in a way, what it feels, it's like you say, it's for not us to fall back into the same mistake that we did previously. Like we all did mistake, been self-obsessed, been so the reason, like I said, I still have evil ways, but I'm not here to save anyone also, so that has to be very clear. But often people stuck in self-obsession look for savior, or without, you know, we all have the power and the genuine love inside, and we shouldn't need a savior, or but this is also what is portrayed in society with Jesus Christ or God the Savior or whatever. Like we should all be able to rescue our own self in this lifetime. So often there's I call that trolling. People that troll or that come back repeatedly with negative comments and negative vibes just to bring down others. In reality, it doesn't really affect the others. It affects more the person that does it in the long run also, because the people that you do that, you give them energy. That's what you do. But yeah, the trolling and the bringing down other people, that's not how we're going to move out of this chaotic state of mind that we are collectively. It has to be about love. It has to be about having some kind of respect also for each other, and talking to each other, being able to reason together, no matter the difference, no matter what you believe. I don't want to believe, I want to know, but no matter what you know, what I know about life, it's not about that. It's all above this. We have to rise above the love, above the hate, above everything, to be able to sit down together, reason. We are the consciousness of this plane. So it's up to us to reason together. So it's not by bashing each other and bringing each other down and going into a bashing session after each other or trolling each other that we're going to move out of this. I'm doing this work here out of my good heart. I don't expect it to be bashed on. I do this out of love. Everything I do is out of love. I know I'm prepared. I expect people with bad minds to come out and take a bite, hypocrites and parasites, to take a bite, but that's why we're here for. We want to eliminate that kind of behavior, that dog eat dog mentality, it has to end. So that's why also we doing that whole self-obsession thing. And from there, a lot of events have happened recently, either with I don't want to name or either, but we have said it with Jabba and the whole thing. So a lot of things happen, but it's also to teach us lesson. Like it's not about one guy subjectively. It's about all of us learning lesson from there, learning lesson here. I'm not doing this to be a clown. I'm not a clown. I'm not come here to waste my time. My time is very valuable, just like Arthur's time, Scott's time, and we're here to give back and to try to find a sense in all this, and it's not, our intent is very, very divine. The intent is divine. It's out of love. Yes, people might not agree with everything we say here, and for sure, if you're liked by 50% of the people, you're doing a good job. So, it's not about and it's not about being love. Yeah, Scott, you want a paper? It's not. It's not a.
Interesting. I think what you just said, you really hit the nail on the head when you said it's not about one man. And you're absolutely right, because if it was just one man causing problems or this, that, and the other, if nobody else had any reaction to it or any of their own stuff come up in reaction, nothing would happen. It would just be one man doing whatever he wanted to do and everyone going, oh, okay, he's behaving like this, and it wouldn't affect anyone. So just the fact that what happened with us and with Jabba caused such an explosion, actually all it does is illustrate very clearly the self-obsession and the shit in all of us, because if it wasn't there would be no big reaction. And yet, as you've seen, there's reaction everywhere, but that's just because of all the shit.
The fact we weren't conscious of the outcome of what we started. We had to learn it. And look, and I'm not speaking on behalf of Jabba here, but I'm sure Jabba would agree with this. This is all really good stuff. Documenting our lives as guinea pigs, all of us, and bring it into the public domain and let it play out. For those who are sincere, they will learn from this. They will gain the essence, right? Because it's not about the insights of love for life. It's about what it is to be a man and what it is that stopped us from being a man. So the whole love for life stuff was all about very clearly exposing the whole satanic, occultic rituals, right? And from that, inspiring our living dreams as a man, not to fall into the scripts of love for life and run around with it. So this is not an attack on Jabba the man. In a way, it's been great that Jabba took on that role, because we needed someone with that kind of strength to do this, because it would actually reveal the truth, how our ancestors fell from paradise, because we went from undefined reality into a defined make-believe reality. And it is the definitions, this is going back to the Adam, Eve, apple and snake, and the seduction, putting suggestions in our head that we take on as that social engineering, as that fashion statement, and we run with it as the script. And the more we add and add, we become caught up in the frenzy. So all power to Jabba, all power to us, because what Jabba's done, we've done. It's not true that we are perfectly right about everything. It's not. We always go where truth takes us, and we will expose anything that isn't right, which also exposes our own shit. Look, the whole history of Love for Life in the Love for Life website contains everything we've ever said and everything else has ever said. All the terrible things said to Fiona, kidnapping the kids, raping her, killing me, things that were hot, like with Raymond Kozowski, in the early days back in 2005, 2007, the arguments that this man had with Raymond and going, blah, well, both of us together in our own different ways. You know, look, we leave it all up. We've left everything up. And everything that's happened now that we documented in the Jabber thread, which we put up on Scribbit, we'll put the links in. And everything else, it's not to go have a go at Jabber. It's simply for our brothers and sisters, get out of Babylon. Get out of this baby long. Get out of this ritual, this satanic stuff where we forget who we are. You know what I'm saying? So it's that where the motive, the intention, the outcomes of our work is all about. If we don't come to this and have these kind of scenarios unfold, and it's actually, look, in a way, Feed and I don't mind. We know it comes with the territory of this backstabbing. This has happened to us hundreds of times over the years. We have experienced this type of frenzy attacks, so we're used to it. That's why we didn't mind putting our lives on a platter yesterday with Jabber, or the day before yesterday, and let it run to self-destruct this cult that was growing around the Love for Life scripts and the arguments amongst the scripting. And that's why it's great having Scott here. Because look, Scott, you're an example of this, bro. We've been through this together, right? But we're still friends. We're on the same track together. We all dream to get out of this fucking mess together, not be stuck in it. So it's not about the mistakes you made or the mistakes this man's made or Fee's made. It's about what are we doing to get out of it and be seen to be doing it and living it in this life. Exactly.
She's grown up.
Yeah.
In the system of 10.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Yeah, it's all
So I'm not ranting. Apologies. I'm not ranting because I just want to make it clear. The whole purpose of Love for Life from day one was to bring into plain sight the stealth of the occults so people can see it for what it is. And we willingly used our lives as guinea pigs all the way through. We suffered for this work. We really did. But so's Jahnick, so's Scott, so's Jabber. We all have. So why would we condemn Jabber? That's why I don't want to set up an anti-Jabber thing. We're not about that. But hey, let's use what's happened as a gift to inspire those not to fall into this kind of seduction.
And also, as we have said again and again and again, Jabber posted something today apparently about saying, it's not about the Love for Life, it's about walking the talk. Well, that's what we've said again and again and again. Like, we really look forward to the day that no one is reading our stuff, no one's watching our videos, no one's doing anything, because what does it mean? Because everyone's out actually doing it, actually living those lives and creating it. And so no one's going to want to sit and watch a video of us or read anything we say, or anybody else for that matter, because we've remembered who we are and we're out there, we're walking the talk, we're planting the food, we're creating the relationships, we're doing all that. May it come next week.
Well,
today,
Kingdom is a bridge, and this is in our work. Kingdom is a bridge to walk across, where we, brothers, sisters, build that bridge to walk across from the system to kingdom and self-destruct the bridge and set each other free from being underneath each other forevermore. So no one is forever underneath each other ever again. That was always been, and it's in our writings from years. It's never been about being right. It's about keep exposing the truth for what it is. Now, this is another thing I want to bring up that I mentioned in the thing yesterday, our chat with Jahnick and Scott yesterday. The reason the reason this man crafted the Love for Life insights was to address the malevolent intent by those who wanted to dominate the free will of this man and the free will of this man's family, to basically disempower those who are abusing their free will by trying to suppress our free will. So the whole purpose of Love for Life Insights was that. And as I said in the video yesterday, I made mistakes in sharing all this on the internet and inspiring people under the assumption that this may help people to wake up and do something. So in a way it is, but it was never intended to be a cult. And this man has always destroyed anything that created a following with us. We have a history of this. You should see the devastations we've done. When we pulled the plug on Jabba, that's not the first or 10th or 20th or 50th time, or even the 300th time that we've done this. It goes into maybe more than 1,000 times we've done this because no one follows us. We do not want anyone to follow us. It's not about following us.
Yeah, we've
It never
also
has been.
had plenty of situations with people who've come to stay, and we can see that, you know, it's almost like a hero worship. They want to cling on to us, and that gets destroyed every time because that's not the remedy.
Exactly.
that is not going to help anybody if they're allowed to cling on to somebody else and just follow them and look to them for
in
answers.
fact, let's go further. Through the internet work that we do, through the mobile phones when people ring us, through people visiting us, this man, and Fiona now more so, because she's actually doing it more and more now intentionally as well, we work on trying to burn people away by what we say, because we do not want a moth to the flame. We don't want hanger-oners. This is not a cult. We don't have followers here. Look, Hannah, we should drag Hannah into this at some stage because she's a witness. How many times we've burnt people up who come here because they want something from us and they are trapped in it, and we go, God, the responsibility we got. We don't want them to be blind, meaning we're going to take advantage of them and use and abuse them. This is why we go to so much trouble providing full disclosure. And this is for you too, Jabba. Go back and read our work, and you'll see it in a different light now than you never saw it before, because we always provide the bigger picture of that full disclosure so that there is no misunderstanding, that someone can't turn around and say that we did not know. And this is why we go to so much effort to write and explain things in a bigger picture. And we get people complaining about that. Why can't you say it all in a few words? Well, you can't when your head is spinning with so much brainwashing and you're relying on that to make sense with a few words written about how we perceive truth. So we don't care about those type of people in that way. What we do, we create a big picture in great detail. And there's a lot of repetition that appears in our writings since 2005 about this, for this specific reason, to burn off everyone who wants something from us that could turn us into a cult following, right? We didn't know that the Jabba situation was going to evolve into that. We didn't know. But it became clear to me when we got all these messages, people complaining. I'm telling you, it goes into a lot of people complaining to us about Jabba's attitude. Now, that's his responsibility. He's got to sort that out. But we got to see the script and how the script was running and how he's using it. Now, I'm not going to go repeating everything that's already in writing. You can go to the Scribd link, and it's all at the beginning of the Scribd document before the copy of the whole Jabba thread, before we pulled the plug with Jabba. It's all there, explaining everything, our views on it. And it shows you, repeats why we did what we did and why we've been doing this from going back all those years ago, and why we did it with Scott. When Scott came here, Scott came as this Love for Life script. And we're sitting there feeling like going, wow, we didn't expect this. Because we're not, it's like it was new territory. It's like we're looking through the window of the Love for Life dream. But each window is a new experience for us because there's so many different windows looking at it. When Scott came, it was another window that we hadn't looked through before. And he revealed to us, wow, we've got a mimic here and we've got to self-destruct this thing. Now, Scott will tell you how many times I confronted you, and not to hurt you, and rattled you. And Scott's 6 foot something. He could just one punch, he could flatten me out. But I had him under my thumb. Not because I'm stronger than him. It was just simply, I'm not going to be intimidated by the routine Scott's running. And that's the same I do with everyone, includes Jabba. I've got no emotional attachments. I don't have any fear of death when it comes to this sort of stuff. And it's the same with Fiona. So we're just laying some of this stuff out. We're not perfect. We never claim. All through our writings, we admit we're fucked up. We have problems. We make mistakes. We do it in the garden, and then we go, God, I got to redo it. But the thing is that each of us got to learn to take responsibility to carry out whatever we inspired to do from our will. of our will, and not have that will be broken. And that has always been the reason, the true reason behind the Love for Life work. This man does not have a broken will, and no one is going to steal this man's will, and this man will stand up to anyone who claims they can put this man's will under their will. And that became the Love for Life insights, and how this man attacked the authorities of the system and disempowered them, and continued to disempower them. And that's why this man pulled out of the system and has nothing in the system, but still under the care and love of Fiona, who has all the contracts still in the system. But it was, you see what I'm saying? It's not about, I'm some Messiah. Look, I'm a crucified savior that's being resurrected, but so's Scott, so's Fiona. We're all gone through the saving. You think we could save people and rescue them, and realize it's not, you can't save anybody. And then we resurrect ourselves, from that crucified, because what you're seeing in the Jabba thing with what you're talking about. And Scott, this is where I'll back off and let Scott, I'd like Scott to talk about this. How many people are backstabbing the fiction of Arthur and Fiona Cristian and the Love for Life work? Just how many doing it? Because that is exactly what happens. And we knew this even before we gave Scott, Jabba, the platter. Will he bite our hand or not? Right? Would he go with it? And to see what he would trigger, this fanaticism around this cult that blossomed around Jabba, right? So that's a frenzy, and we intentionally wanted it to implode and explode from within and from without, and that is the backstabbing. That's all the shit. And then it all settles down, and then you see in cults they start fighting amongst each other as well, because it continues on like that. But we will have nothing to do with it. So I mentioned about the Cater guy with the name. When we brought out all the name stuff, we're bringing it all out, and we're bringing out the Corporation Australia and all the private corporation stuff between 2005, 2007, with a little small group of us. There's only like 3 or 4 involved when we were doing all this work back then. And then when we're bringing out the name stuff down the line, and then Cater guy appears through Facebook PMs writing to us about 2010, 2011, and starts the beginning of the name movements. And then we started to notice that she was running the Love for Life scripts of name, but removing all the remedy stuff that all came with everything to do with dropping the name. And that's why we've created the disassociation from Cater Gaia, because we don't want anyone to think that what Cater Gaia is doing and all those running with the name movement have anything to do with us, because we come with a remedy, which is more important than exposing the name movement, right? Where vice versa, the Cater Gaia thing is to set it up so that people will get harmed, get disillusioned, be disappointed. And when they hear the mantras of the Love for Life stuff, they'll write us up and put us in the same basket with all the psyops that was running with Cater Gaia, because it was an intelligence network that did it. It was blatant, right? Now, Jabbas doesn't do any of this stuff, but it's the same outcome. That's why we had to disassociate, self-destruct, self-implode the whole script, because we are not a cult, and we don't want anyone to associate Love for Life with a cult, because the remedy that we offer, that we inspire, is more important than the bloody script.
But this is the responsibility that we have also once we start to shine a little bit more than the average. We're probably going to shine in the world, and then people are going to look up to us. I'm very careful when people contact me, like looking up to me. I don't like when people look up to me. We should all be leaders in the house of the rising sun. We should all be leaders. So when people approach me and look up to me like some kind of savior or something, I be very careful with that, because I prefer someone that comes to me with lots of confidence and expressing, their divinity like I am, and then I'm not stuck in some kind of mind game. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it happens a lot. That's
because
very common.
what it is. It is really, really common because of how we're brought up in the system, and we all have this doubt and uncertainty about who we are. We look for others to guide us, but at the same time, we're not honest about that. And we pretend, and this is where the fake fronts are huge, because we all pretend that we're not doing that. We pretend that we're confident, that we have our own free will, that we know what to do, and this, that, and the other. But the underneath is this I'm actually looking for someone to tell me what to do because I don't know. And this is where the pain and the hurt and the very strong reactions arise when that's exposed, because the shame of that, because everything out there is telling us you have to be confident, you have to be strong, you have to be able to speak your mind. You know, we have all these mantras that, but for most of us, it's completely fake.
It's pride.
And so then the pride issue comes in when that's exposed. And I'm not talking about this scenario here. I'm just talking totally in general. But and I think that's a huge one. And that's where you get into the mind games, because people are actually coming to you thinking, hey, maybe Jahnick's got something for me, but they may not even admit that to being honest about that to themselves. And so that's when the games come in, because they're having to still try and maintain their front of confidence. And I'm not looking for something over the underneath. I'm looking for something. I mean, we've had so many people come here, and literally just about everyone is actually looking for us, particularly Arthur, to get in their lives and say, hey, see this, see this, see this, see this. And I've even seen Arthur ask people, hey, you know, a lot of them come wanting that anyway. It's already been discussed, but others who've come and they haven't said it, and Arthur said, hey, you know, are you up for me pointing a few things out to you? You know, he actually asked them and they say, yes. But then sometimes this is when it's interesting, when the heat gets too strong, that's when they suddenly turn around and go, oh, but you're this and you're that and you're the other. And you're just like, well, yeah, we never said we weren't, one. And two, you actually invited us to come into your lives and be this for you, be this mirror for you, and point out, you know, because people do kind of, oh, what do you see in me? Do you see anything in me? You know, and if we tell them, but it's amazing how when it's something they don't like hearing, quite often then it's, rah, they attack, and it's like, well, you wanted to know.
We do it all the time with each other. Everything that's happened out there, we do to each other. We argue, we have fights, we scream sometimes. You know, there's all kinds of dynamics of the system shit that appears in our relationship. But the dream we hold is much bigger than the shit. So the shit is gradually dissolving, because the dream we hold, the real kingdom dream, is dissolving the system crap with all the frenzy. So, you know, as long as she has no back door and this man has no back door, and we're prepared not to sell out and keep going where truth takes us, we are chipping away at the fucking lie, and we're breaking it down and breaking it down and breaking it down, so that we end up with a will that's not broken, and we're no longer broken wills, because it's broken will people that act with knives to backstab, because all those areas of their lives that they had failed in, all those areas that they sold out to, is where they dump it on everyone else, because it was done to them from so young, in the womb, literally. It started in the womb. So that's how it works. And this fanaticism, this frenzy, is all we know, because the education is a frenzy that we're given. You know, everywhere, every which way we turn the system, it's a frenzy within a frenzy. That frenzy is the cult. It's the phenomena of the occult communicated and expressed and lived. It's a frenzy, and it's sick, and it's seriously sick.
That's what the system encourage also with artists, especially with fan club. You know, everything you have fan, it's fanatism, it's fanatics. And
this whole no back door thing is the vital thing, because if you have no back door, you don't need to sever a relationship. And it doesn't mean you can't have times that you're really pissed off with the other one and you really don't like them and you don't want to talk to them for 5 days or 10 days or even a year. But you still got, you know, there's still no, you know that one day you're going to be able to come together again and work through it, because that's how you form the deep bonds. If you're prepared to overcome that, the whatever issues keep you apart, and go, okay, so, all right, well, in a marriage, you go, okay, well, I hate this person right now, but I'm still married to them. So, you know, we're going to move on. We're going to keep going. And that's where you get the strength. And those are the sort of things we have to learn to do, which is why it's very interesting when things like this situation happen and there's a big explosion, how many people are coming out of the woodwork and like, oh, well, yeah, I always thought that. And yeah, he's like this and he's like that. And it's like, well, where was the honesty? Where was the honesty? If you really felt that sort of thing before, why weren't you coming out and saying it? Like, I don't know, Hannah said to me today that she saw something, I don't know, I haven't seen it, Jabba saying, oh, Arthur was in it for, you know, was after people's money. Well, if he had that doubt about Arthur, why hasn't he addressed it before?
No, that wasn't.
What?
That was
Never been.
That wasn't. directed towards Arthur. That was something, or Jabba said that was something that Ivan said on one of Jabba's
Okay.
posts. Yeah.
And it's weird also how people relate always the bad thing, not the good things, eh?
Yeah.
Yeah, they
Because
twist it.
I have contributed to Jabba's dream monetarily. We don't hear that anywhere that I gave him a donation. Nobody knew that. Eh? So everybody,
It doesn't
you know,
matter. It doesn't matter
no,
what
but,
people.
no, but you know what I mean. People focus on the bad. That's all we hear.
We live like in a relationship. I leave the door open for Fiona to perform what she sees as that expression of inspiration in the relationship with this man. If it is a cuddle, if it's making something, if it is going and picking up the dirty clothes that I left in the bathroom because I'm still cleaning up whatever, or forgotten, and she puts it in the washing machine and all that sort of stuff, that space is open for her to do whatever she's inspired to do. And that is part of her being a team player in the dream of life that this man holds. Vice versa, this man does it for her. It's not about the money. When we put up in this is really because Fiona owns the website and all that, the PayPal link that we have up, the ANZ bank accounts that Fiona has up, is for those who are inspired, who want to gift, so that we continue using the system to do all the work we do. There's nothing, it's all above board, all out in the open, and that's the way it is. You know, if people want to have a shot at us about that stuff, they need to start looking at themselves. We are all compromised. I've never ever made the claim that I'm perfect in all these things. I use the system, but the difference is I let people provide gifts to this man, right, from their inspiration. Someone 2 days ago said, some stranger, and this happens a lot from time to time. I have a stranger who we don't even know, who banked $250 in the ANZ bank account and wrote about, this is a gift for the work of Love for Life. Thank you so much. And da-da-da-da. This man already got it. It was not about gifting us money because of us. This man knows we're holding a dream bigger and wants to support it. Now, we're in the system, using the system to get out of the system because we're building the bridge to cross the other side and self-destruct the system. So we're going to use money. But I don't have any contracts. I'm not commercially offering a service. So when I counsel people, I don't charge people money. When anything I do with all I work, it's free. Everyone, you know how many people, and Scott will tell you because he's seen this himself, people don't realize that the backbone of the Love for Life website has been 16-hour days, mostly 7 days a week, over a 9-year period, at least 9 years. And there's over 33,000 individual items contained within nearly 12,000 posts of all kinds of stuff. The amount of work that was put in it while we're researching and arguing, doing all the stuff we were doing over the years is all there. It's all free. People can go and get whatever they want for free and don't have to pay us a cent. It's fine. But it amazes me sometimes when people complain, why are you asking for money? Why are you? I said, look, I've got 4 daughters. I have a wife. I have kids. I have a responsibility too. Even though I'm out of the system, whatever comes from the dream that we hold from the hearts of those who support it. Fee in my life is no different to others who give money to the dream. The dream that this man holds is Fiona living the dream. You know, when I met Fiona, and this goes back to yesterday's video, which I never discussed. When I first met Fiona, she lit up like a Christmas tree. There was a light, it was an aura of gold light, yellow light around, but I did not know what she looked like. I had no idea who and what. I knew it was a woman, but I didn't know who it was and what she looked like physically, right? And then when I saw her, and I knew, wow, she got great legs. Oh, wow, you know, all these things, physical, superficial things. But I knew she was my wife. And I was 38, 39. I had waited. I never married anyone. I've got close encounters along the way, but she lit up and I knew. And for 6 months, she wasn't interested. And I worked hard through my doubt and uncertainty and all my broken will shit, in spite of having been someone who had no problems getting women when I was younger and being all the things I used to do. Everything of my life came to a head day after day, and I was crying because I knew I had to have her in my life. There was something important about having Fiona in my life, right? No one told me this is the one, she's the one. She just lit up, man. I was blinded by this light. It was so powerful. And I'm sure others have experienced this. And I knew that this was a connection, right? So it took me 6 months. through all my heartache and heartbreak and crying, all my emotion, all my shit, man, all my shit. But I didn't give up. And she's in my life with a caveman tactic. It worked. So, I'm getting at, it's not that she's under my thumb. She's living the dream that this woman is blowing me away, because through the Love for Life insight work and all the stuff we've done, and man, she's been through hell with me with my own shit. The amount of shit that I had before I even woke up to all the Love for Life stuff, she's had to deal with it. She's still here. No back door. She's had moments she contemplated thinking, oh God, we should end this relationship, whatever. But the point I'm getting at is that there's something far more amazing about us if we don't sell out. If you stick to your guns of what you sense, stick to your guns. And no matter, like, I was saying to you, Scott, if you want to write, just write. Don't think I'm going to write a perfect article and then go through the hell of not writing it. And then you have the disappointments and all that stuff that comes up that continues that stuff. This happens to Hannah. It happens to most people. And people want to, how come we can write? I mean, just do it.
Yeah,
just do it and contemplate. And if you're in it, like with Hannah, she's currently in a Facebook discussion with others in the local area. I said to Hannah, just tell them, look, I'm going to reply. I want to contemplate on these things that have been raised with me. I'll get back to you in 2 or 3 days, 5 days or a week, but I will reply. Don't put your pressure. I've got to reply right now. I've got to get it all right. Got to set myself up. And then she just goes through bloody hell inside her and burns herself out, right? Don't do that. So I've been watching Hannah. She's got this freedom now about it. And she can take her time, and she doesn't put herself in a pressure.
Well, that's all about the usual thing of thinking we have to perform for others, and
Exactly.
that's the huge system pressure. We've got to perform for somebody else. We've got to be seen to be this, to be that, to be the other.
Exactly. You do it in the moment. And all this insight work came from the moment, without any doubt. It was, look, it's like breathing. It's there. It's like the man. It's there. It's like the sun that shines. It's there. Why do we doubt it? Everything is there, already there. We don't need another man to live the man. The man, we are already there. So why do we need to latch onto another man and fill our heads with what they're saying to live the life that we gave up because we doubt it, right? Who we are is there. It's there. Everything needs to be done is there. Why do we doubt it? Why do we set up all these obstacles? Because it's out of this shit that we've all gone into the frenzies of the system, right? So I'm just getting, what I'm trying to get at, I've had so many experiences since what happened to me as a little kid with the sexual abuse and all that stuff. But that doesn't mean that I'm better. Just because I had that 2 weeks sleep and I could see things from, I had senses, I could pick up stuff from kilometers away. I could listen to conversations from kilometers away. I turned it all up because I didn't want the cult of Arthur Cristian with people lining up outside the door going for kilometers because they wanted something from this man. And when I had those, which I going back to the video yesterday, it's all explained in that stuff. I didn't go writing a book about, oh, God talked to me and that, that Googa Dunga appeared and running water appeared and all these experiences this man had should be turned into a book and going to glorify it and commercialize it. I don't do that. Never have. We just put it up on a bookshelf and leave it as a reference point and move on. But I don't doubt that what we're doing is from the dream that we hold of do no harm, life's a gift, and a man who has no broken will, and living amongst brothers and sisters who have no broken will, each undefined man, totally undefined. And this is truly the lesson Jabba is learning. You don't run these Love for Life scripts on innocent people who have no malevolent intent. You don't bash people with baseball bats and all that stuff running these scripts. It was never meant for that. It was there to disempower those who want to break your will and put you under them, to come after you with that intent. It was for that reason and only for that reason. I have made mistakes where I used it the way you've been using it too. I get that, but I tape it off. I stopped doing it over the years, really cut that down and just focused on intel operatives, occultists, people who have cunning methods to manipulate you to keep that broken will running. So you're stuck in the frenzies of the system because that's all you know, all you can rely on. You default to it, default, all the time. So I'm rambling in a certain point, stabbing at things, but the biggest picture thing is that do not sell out. and don't sell anyone else out. The reason we pulled the plug on you, Jabba, is because you were not sensing the man, Jahnick, from a place of your own heart where you could nurture the man without pushing the man away and burning him up. It's more important to embrace brothers and sisters and give them the space where they can be in your life, right? And you can point things out and gradually nurture them through it, because they're fucked up just like we're all fucked up. We're all fucked up. But unless we can work together and not push each other's broken wills into panic stations and running these Frankenstein frenzies, we will never, ever, ever leave the system. We'll keep defaulting to it because we'll keep saying, oh, well, I've given up. I need to keep living. And the occultists will keep offering everything you need to keep it going because you haven't created anything that's outside of it. You're still inside it. Nurturing the again, in the scribbled post we put up that the link will provide, we share these insights about the nurturing. It's here, we're here. I know when everything went through with Scott, we did not burn Scott off. We did not smash him. We gave Scott the space, and we let Scott know that we're still there for Scott as a brother, an equal. Now Scott's here. He'll talk. At some point, we're going to shut up and let Scott talk about his thing. We nurtured Scott to this place. Hannah's been here for 6 years. What Hannah has been going through is far beyond anything in what we've been dealing with Jabba. Truly, I mean it. It's almost like a white ant, to Mount Everest in terms of the scale of the stuff that we're going through with Hannah. But Hannah's still here. She's been nurtured. And she has that safe place where she can now unload whatever it is that she wants to say without being worried about what other people are going to think about her. This is the same with our children. We wanted our children to be safe to say whatever they wanted to say. So we know what they're thinking and what's going on for them. We don't want our children to be so shut down that they don't say anything in front of us because they were conned or trained to shut down. You want them talking and communicating, and you nurture them. You don't bash them. That's only for the malevolent intent side of stuff that you use that for. But you nurture everybody else because that's who we are. And that's how we fix this. That's truly the only way we fix it. So that's why we pulled the plug on this whole thing and to end this whole script, because it's not about us. The bigger picture of the nurturing, this no back door, this thing is not about Fiona's right or Arthur's right. Because you get two people are right, you're going to have this. I'm right, you're right. Well, there you are. Frenzy, chaos, order, system, confusion. The cultists come in. Here, we have a remedy. And you're stuck. And they're very cunning with these psyops. It's so, excuse my language, so fucking cunning. It's intentionally designed this way. Right? So the truth is there is no right or wrong. And when you run these Love for Life scripts, right, there is no right in it because another man is undefined. So when Fee and I were witnessing this, what you were doing with Jahnick, we're thinking, this Love for Life stuff was never meant for this. Jahnick doesn't have any malevolent intent. Jahnick gets it. Jahnick is fucked up. He admits his own fucked up state.
Yeah, we're all deeply compromised.
We're all deeply compromised. But why would I want to burn off my relationship with Jahnick? I'd rather that we have the friendship. And I say, Jahnick, what about this and this and that? Come on, bro, you can do better than that. And we can fucking argue sometimes, but not have to crucify the man, putting him through a script, right? Because we don't know what the outcome of every man's life is going to be. The wholeness of a man's life is when, if you want to celebrate, then compost the body of that life and put a tree over the top of it, the seed of a tree or a plant, whatever. That's when you can sit there and look at the legacy of the life of the man. Not during the time of the life of the man, you're crucifying the man when you don't even know what the outcome's going to be. How do we know? We're no judge and jury over what will be Jahnick's life or the rest of this man's, what we now call Jahnick. How do we know?
That's it. I'm here now. That doesn't mean I'm going to be here in 10 years. I'm going to
exactly. We don't know. No one knows. We don't know what you're going to become.
That's an
So why are we
extra.
sitting around making an ultimatum about it? We don't do that. So there's no right or wrong. It's the nurturing of the brothers and the sisters, right? And that's where the unconditional love, these are the virtues of unconditional love, the charity, the grace, the kindness, all these things come into play. And it's here. Because if you don't, you're in a cult. You're in a cult running the right program. And if you get the right thing, right? And that's what we don't want. We are not right or wrong. Undefined is undefined. We are undefined. We come from undefined consciousness. We've never left it, but we've been impregnated with these definitions of satanic occultic practices, and our heads are spinning with it, right? So you don't destroy your brothers and sisters who have no malevolent intent. You don't harm them. You don't attack them and put them up to scrutiny and say, you know, back your claims with first party. There is no first party. Every man has the absolute right to say what they want to say about anything. You do not have to agree with them, or you can agree with them. What a man shares with you should be free enough for that space, to have the space for that to happen, and then move on. You don't have to go to war over someone's opinion.
You know, I'm not here to live up to nobody's expectation, and nobody has to live up to my expectation. I'm here to try to find sense in this life. But the more I question things, the more I realize how deeply fucked up we are, and I am too. And that's a bit a work that you have to do on yourself to get back into alignment. But that's the fun part. That's the fun part. That's the part everybody should embrace. Is the fun part.
Letting go without selling out. You don't sell out and give up who you are.
And I think the most important thing is when something like this happens is not for everyone to focus on Jabba or everyone to focus on Arthur. Really, everyone should be looking at who they are and going, well, what was my reaction to this? How did I react to that? What emotions came up for me? Because that's telling them something about themselves and who they are. And I think the interesting thing about this sort of thing is it actually brings up a lot of the ugliness that everyone has underneath. It brings it to the surface, which is actually a very good thing, because then we can't ignore it so much. You know, everyone suddenly starts flinging judgments around and accusing people of being judgmental. I mean, if I say, hey, Scott, you're judgmental, that's my judgment. You know, and we do this all the time. We start pointing the fingers at other people, and you're this, you're that, you're the other. Whereas what we should actually be doing is looking at us and our behavior, because that's the thing we can fix. That's the things we can let go of and move on from.
The truth is not a right or wrong. It's just a compost of our real lives blossoming out of it. It's just compost. That's all it is. This 11 to 12 years of Love for Life work, you will not find it in any books anywhere. There's no tongue to tell you the bigger picture of what was kept secret by the high level occultists. I've never been a Freemason, but I became one through what I did through the occultic practices, going in through the water of the breath, using the trauma of the sexual abuse in this man's body and other things that happened, and went and listened to their voices and intentions and got into scrutiny and argument and all kinds of stuff. This is a gift. Everyone who's been picked, everyone who's running with the Love Life Insights, thanks to Scott, thanks to Jabba, thanks to thousands and thousands, and look, truly hundreds of thousands of people have been impacted by this stuff. And there's a huge intel operation to censor and not allow it to blossom further in the mainstream, because they don't want us to be out front with it as if we're leaders, right? They want to be the leaders. They want it so that, because they have to control the outcomes all the time. We don't live for this. We're not a cult. We don't care. But if you have gratitude, this man gifted this man's life for you to have the insights you now have. It came from suffering, immense suffering in our relationship, immense hardships. We went through fucking hell and back, but we did it not because we want rewards. We did it because we don't want to stay there. I don't want to live as a broken will man. I don't want to live amongst people who are broken. You know, this goes back to that community immunity thing that we went on, because we realized there was no community immunity when everything was being stolen from us. All that work we did for 20 years in the system, we have what today would be worth $2.5 million plus. We don't know what it's worth now, all stolen. And we never broke the law, never broke the peace, never committed a crime, never injured anyone. And yet the whole system protected these frauds, these crimes. That's the gift of all these years, this intense hours, waking up, going to bed, waking up. Well, most of you are going to work. Most of you are thinking about girls, football, and God knows what. Not always. I'm just generally speaking. This man has been on the coalface, just waking up, going to bed, focused just on this, to gift brothers and sisters this.
I have something to bring up to you, Arthur.
People complain about bitching and backstabbing. For fuck's sake, wake up, you idiots. You're fucking idiots when you think like this. You're doing exactly what the occultists want you to do. You're being stupid. You're not here to follow this man or follow Fiona. Wake up and nurture your brothers and sisters around you like this man's been doing. It's the nurturing that's gifted you unconditionally. Use it with your wisdom. Nurture people. Don't destroy them. It's what, excuse me, hang on. It's what Sean Harmer was saying. Remember what he said? I think that Sean wrote about, it's amazing. It's the downtrodden, broken down people where you find more of the charity and the goodness of the heart than the people who are supposedly claiming to be woken up, where you see the opposite and you see the control freak mechanism. These are not exact words, but this is what he's saying. Remember that, what he said?
Yeah, basically he was saying that, sometimes it can, people who think they've woken up and they're on the bandwagon of, trying to teach others or show others, often they can actually be very cruel and show not a lot of compassion. And you often find more compassion out there among your average Joe Blow who's not even thinking about waking up. And I think that's very true. If we're not careful, and it's a lesson to us all, if we're not careful, we can get caught up in this. I've found the way. I've found the way. Therefore, others have to listen to me and make it their way too, which is the cults that are everywhere, which is the system, which is the religion, which is everything. It's, hey, look, I found the way, but you got to follow me to do it. You've got to fit into these rules and regulations, which was what was happening with the Love for Life script. It was becoming, you have to answer my questions, you have to conform to this, you have to fit in this way, which is no different to everything else in the system that's out there of confirmation and judgment, which happens in every little group in the system. Sure, you can be part of our group, but these are the guidelines, these are the regulations. And yet it's interesting actually how much flack we got when we started the Love for Life Kingdom group. And actually, for the first time ever in anything we did, we made it a specific group with a specific intention and specific guidelines. We'd never done anything like that before. Everything else was always, sure, you post whatever you want. And how many people complained, oh, you're being control freaks, you're being this, you're being that. And we're thinking, hang on. So it's a control freak mechanism to have this specific intention. And it's not, you have to be in this group, but the amount of people that complained and we said, well, if you're into Harley Davidson motorbikes and you start a Facebook wall for those who are interested in Harley Davidson, there's not much point in someone else being in there who isn't interested in that. That's the point between making it a specific thing. We want it to be focused on the remedy of kingdom and not on other things. But how many people jumped on and attacked us for that?
That's amazing. But it attacked Scott as well. Yeah. Scott was as admin in when that thing started back in 2014, whenever it was. Yeah, we tell those people, look, you got the Arthur Cristian Facebook wall. There's other Love for Life walls. You can go there and run all that there. Just don't bring it into this Kingdom Group one, right? This is specifically for this reason. So we've left the free will is here for people to express and communicate. Most of the people involved in the Kingdom Group are already in the Love for Life, Arthur Cristian walls and other walls. They're already there too. So you're communicating pretty much to the same audience, and in fact wider audiences, because there's only nearly 600 members. How many of those are actually reading in there? I don't know, because there will be intel in there. There could be a good 50, 60, 80, 100 intel in there anyway. And you don't know how many are. And then you'll have others who like joining groups, but they don't get time to watch. So you have all those sort of hanger-oners. That will be happening. And then you get the serious ones. You see some really seriously devoted ones in there. This is the way the system works. It's normal. That's just the way it is,
Yeah, that's why I was saying before, if we talk about remedy, I was going to bring up something to you. I think it's very important to go with, we all have opinions on a lot of stuff. I have opinion on many things, but it's our example that can change the world. And I think we have a responsibility. You know, maybe the solution also, I don't know if you agree with me, Scott, you or Fiona, but once you go public, there is some people that go public but are very hard to access. They are very hard to get in touch with. And some others go public like me, and I'm very accessible. So maybe that's also the one of the mistake that we do and cause people to like cause some kind of cult. Maybe we cause our own misery by making ourselves accessible very much, either on Facebook, like even getting into arguments on Facebook, you know, or on YouTube or whatever. It's very like, I don't think it's giving a super good example. That's why I'm saying. That's why I say maybe we should restrain our exposure, like go just with the example and not so much our. Hold on. Not so much our opinions involved in there, but more our example, which is what you do also with your garden, food garden, forest. That inspired me a lot because you're a man of action and you said, okay, I have enough of the system, trying to find solution to get out, to be more self-reliant. But I think it's the example that we set that can really inspire people to move forward, to start having better vibration. And so that's why I'm saying maybe even the chat here on the side, like you said at the beginning, you said maybe we should disable the chat or look what's going on with this. And I was thinking about it, and it's maybe a good thing to disable it. You know, because I know some people are not going to agree again with what I say, but I'm not here to have friends, to make friends. I'm here to try to solve our trauma or find a way to move out the trauma. But even having the chat, having the comments on my YouTube channel, this is making people, I don't know, I might be wrong again in what I say. I might change my mind tomorrow morning. I don't know, but it's a reflection I'm having with you, Luke. Are we feeding our own self-obsession by leaving the chat on, the comments on our YouTube channel, on Facebook, arguing with people? Are we feeding our own self-obsession?
No, because the thing is this, if we leave our lives open as a gift, the information that comes out of that work is available in the public domain for others to pick up what they want from it and let go of what they don't want, right? So we can't censor what comes out of the lives of those who, day after day after day. It's the same as the Love Life website. We don't censor anything in that way unless it's got commercial advertising in it, or it is attacking someone's character that's getting right away from the thread and making things personal. And we usually warn that man. And I think in the thousands of comments that have been put in, well, I think we've only ever censored, blocked probably not even 10, you know, that many. So look, what I'm getting at is that you pick your battles. Like, for example, we still get vast traffic of emails. They get automatic replies. We can't reply to everyone. We pick and choose who you can reply to because we want to work in the garden. Same with Facebook. You pick what you want to give your energy to and pick what you don't. It's okay to say no and don't do it, right? Because you, like you said, you got the garden, you got this, we've got children, we have other commitments, we have a household. There's a whole array of other factors that means we can't just burn ourselves out running these things, but leave it out. Leave it open, because the whole purpose of it is to have that sun shining. Because if the sun is shining, the light is there for those that will come into their lives if they want it. If they don't want it, they will use their own Venetian blinds, their own curtains, and close it up. But why should we shut it, right? So it means do not have any emotional attachments to any outcomes of anything. Nothing. Just let it be free. Let it be out. Don't censor it, right? Say what you want to say. Argue with those you choose you want to argue. If you want to go into an argument, do it. But you don't have to if you don't want to either. You have free will. Free will is everything. It's everything, right? And you don't have to feel bad or guilty if you don't want to entertain an argument with someone and walk away like I did with Jabba. You just walk away. Don't have any attachment to it, because I know who I am. I know what I am. I'm not going to get stuck in scripts of right and wrong and get stuck in people's definitions about right and wrong. I've already had more than 1,000 of these things to perfect these kind of stuff, but I'm not interested. That was not the purpose. So if you have it open, and I'm not talking about fantasy about being open, you leave things open for others so that their uniqueness, their originality, the way they will approach it, they will come and read or listen to Love for Life stuff or Jahnick's videos, whatever, and whatever Jahnick's doing in the compromised state, if he's commercializing and bringing in some click counters and making some money, that's his thing. You know, it all comes back to the intention, to the bigger picture of the intent, right? The reason Love for Life has always been free, the reason why it's had multi-millions of people visiting that website, multi-millions, all free. You know, for the amount of gift we've received, it wouldn't even go to 0.0000042% of the traffic of that website.
It's funny. It's funny also to see everyone criticizing and everybody like, I'm ready for critics, no problem. I learned to tune them out, the inside and the outside. Anyway, that's another thing. But the thing is, not too many people, I think if you criticize, you should criticize by creation. That's what I just commented in the chat. Some said, oh, you're not open to criticism. You can create a community, but without criticism. Okay, but create something. If you want to criticize, you're not happy about things are in the world. Create something that's going to make things better. Stop complaining.
Exactly. You know, we've had that interesting situation, people coming here, and some people, it's just, you know, the result of their training is, okay, I stand back and I observe what's going on to see if it meets my standards of what I want from a community. And then it'll be, oh, but I'm not so happy about this, and I'm not so happy about that, and I'm not so happy about that. And exactly what you said, if they in fact came and they just threw their whole life energy into it, and instead of being critical about something they see that's not happening, they think, okay, what can I do to make this bit better? You know, this part that's not working so well, what can I put into that to make it? Maybe I can make this on my responsibility. Maybe it's someone hasn't had time to attend to that. Maybe I can do that. And that is exactly what you're saying. It's being prepared to throw it, because if you stand back and watch and judge all the time, you are never going to get that full experience of what you can learn by absolutely being prepared to dive in and just fully put your life and soul into that, even if it's only temporary, even if it's 2 months, even if it's 6 months, even if it's only a year. If you fully dive in and immerse yourself totally in it and surrender to the process, that is where your growing comes. That is where your learning comes.
Comes out of being humble.
Sitting back and just watching to see, does it meet my standards or not? And then finding things that don't meet your standards and focusing on them. Oh, well, there's good things here, but I'm not happy about that. You get nothing. You get nothing. And that's the thing. It's not us or the other people involved who get hurt or upset. You get nothing. You learn nothing.
You get nothing because you sit.
It's very much like the experience out in Australia that I had. It's like a lot of the stuff that we're talking about bringing up is all this shit that I was running. I came out there. I never voiced the criticisms all the time, but they were always up in the head. I was always looking at something and trying to make it wrong, trying to make it all. It could be this, it could be that, it could be that. But I never get into it, and like you and Jahnick are talking about, and actually inspire the change and try to help things along and, you know, take action with it. It was always just up in my head. And that's what so many people are doing right now, is they're just all up in their head. They're all creating change up in their head and acting as though they're this leader over everything and where it goes. But really, they're not actually getting involved with men and women and what they're creating and doing something about it. It's just all up in their head, where it's just fantasy and imagination.
It's all fantasy and imagination. Also, Scott, because
nothing comes out of it.
A lot of people complaining don't even talk to their neighbor. We don't even talk to our neighbor.
Yeah.
It's interesting what you're saying as well, Scott, because how many people as well, someone says, hey, I've got the opportunity to do a little bit of, I mean, like Jahnick, you said the other day, I think it's great. Oh, I've got the opportunity to get a bit of land, start a community garden. Great. It's a step. Yeah. It's not kingdom. It's not freedom. It's not the perfect end result. And you can bet there'll be people out there who go, oh, but, you know, that's not freedom. I mean, you know, he's still under the system. He's still going to be in the camp. He's still got to, so what? It's a step. And if food comes out of, and if food comes out of that and it gets shared around, That's one great thing. The other thing is, Arthur said, you're developing skills, how to grow the food. 2, you're learning more about relationships, working together and whatever. And yet you can bet, as Scott said, those people who sitting there thinking, oh, well, it's not kingdom, it's not perfect. Half of them won't be doing anything.
You know, like, this whole thing with the jabber, we've been out 8 hours a day, minimum 8 hours a day in the garden, in the sun, every day. All this all going on. In fact, that day with jabber, when they think I was already up for 22 hours. You know, because I get up at 6 and 7 in the morning. By the time I get up, by the time I get outside and we make whatever we make, smoothie juices and all that. And there's so many projects. Like we just finished the shed, you know, we built a shed. There are so many projects going on here. We're outside doing, we don't spend that much. What we do with the writing and talking on Facebook is just a small part. We're outside doing things, and the skills we've developed. Like I'm not a carpenter, but I'm becoming better at it. And the more I've been doing it, the better. I'm not an engineer, but the more I've been doing things with it, the better I'm becoming. The more I'm working with plants and seeds, the more I'm learning, the more we're trying. And the mistakes we make, we adapt and we improve, and there's no back door, and you keep doing it. It's in the doing. You're doing it, and doing it. We talk about kingdoms on that. Kingdom's here right now. It's us here. It's our attitude. It's us. You know, we don't get sucked into what people's criticism. You can have all the criticisms out there you like. You ignore it. You turn your back on it. Turn your back on it. Unless there's someone who wants to come and contribute and make improvements on what you're doing, you listen to those people. But when they're coming from attacking you, the man, you just ignore them, because there's nothing to learn from them. Nothing. Because it's their own shit. They're in the frenzy. They're in the frenzy of having to live off the lives of other men and women to generate the energy they need to run their Frankenstein programs.
That's why you don't see me on Facebook arguing and getting into it. That some people would like it, but I ain't gonna do this because I don't think I'll change the world with going on Facebook and commenting stuff. I want to focus on example, so that's where I am. But that's me. Yeah. That's my ways. That's my ways. Not everybody will agree with it, but it's my way. Respect it.
Shine the dream that you live for. Live it, be it, and let that be the example. And then allow that space for others to nurture it. So people who come with that good intention will come and nurture with it. We had Aiden here for about a year and a half. Aiden made a massive difference to the dream of this Kingdom Garden. When Scott came here, Scott actually made a massive difference. But the dream was not hijacked. The dream was not sabotaged, because we, the custodians, are holding the dream. We will never let anyone steal it from us, because that means our will is broken and we've accepted someone else's will to dominate our will, meaning their dreams become more powerful than our dream. You get that? Because this is how it all works. So in the system, it's always about this. It's a domino effect. It's like people build their lives on top of the shit everyone else has been crushed. And everyone's just shit on top of shit on top of shit. And we all sit there celebrating and arguing, criticizing each other over shit. It is shit, you know? So all I'm getting at is that, in fact, Scott's a great example of this. Scott's gone back. He's gone into soil sciences and stuff because he was inspired by Aiden when Aiden was here. And he's doing all kinds of stuff, and he's doing stuff inside of vineyards. And, you know, Scott can talk about this in his own time, you know, but he's a doer. He's doing something. He's doing what he's passionate about. He's not just talking about it. When he came here, he was doing things, but he went through fucking hell. But it was worth it, because now, look at Scott, what he's doing now, and the people he will inspire in his life. So all the time he spent here in hell, he was in hell. He's now breaking out of that hell because he's learnt that from us, what that is, and worked it out in his way. And now he has something genuine and real to offer others, to inspire others through the example of the dream of life of Scott as the man. And that's the same with each of us. Don't let anyone bring you down. Ignore them. If they're coming after you and criticizing you, the man, ignore them. Block them. Block them. Block them. Block them. Block them. Just keep blocking them. Wipe them out, because it is nothing. There's nothing there. It's just darkness. But those who are sincere, who come with that sincerity, you leave your space open for them to come and dance and play their dance of their heart because it is the rays that shine, that amplify that and intensifies that dream, right? You just got to know which is which under the system circumstances that we're in. That's what you got to do. You've got to learn to say no. Like, again, you can criticize till your cows come home. It just goes straight over our heads as gobbledygook. It's just, we don't have any attachment to what you think. We don't give a fuck. None of us, we just laugh. But if you have something real to say, to amplify and improve the creation of what we're creating. We're interested, and we'll listen. And but come do it. Don't just talk about it. Come and do it. So when people come in, what do? Here's a shovel. You want to talk about freedom? Here's a shovel. You want to talk about peace? Here's a spade. You want to talk about love? Here's some seeds. Here, you want to talk about creation? Here, look, there's the garden beds. Because there it is. It's real. I don't want to hear it in your fucking head. Do it.
And
create a legacy for others to enjoy out of it. Everything else is bullshit. Wankers, ego trippers, Frickensteins. Ignore it all. Ignore it all. Seriously. It's the rot. It's a rot. And bless their hearts, they got to climb out of it. No one will pull them out. They will never be rescued from this.
But I follow my heart when it comes to this, to people, and that's what I did also with this story of Jabul. I followed my heart, and it unfolded like that. I thought that the timing was gonna be okay, but maybe I was too primed to. But anyway, it's to me, it's irrelevant who it is or which man, or it's about us again moving out the trauma. And the nonsense. But I was going to ask a question to Scott, because a lot of people wonder who is Scott. And maybe Scott can tell us, where are you right now? Are you in your RV? You live in there?
Yeah, I live at the winery. I work at an RV. It's a work and live relationship with the family that own the vineyard, and they're very open to trying a lot of things. So they've kind of taken me into their hearts, and they've sensed my intentions for wanting to change the way things are done in agricultural setups and get away from chemicals and using just ridiculous means to grow food. And they've seen that I'm inspired to do that, and I've seen that they're inspired to, open their mind and buy some things. So yeah, they've kind of bit by bit, I've been kind of breaking through a few of their walls and breaking through a few of my walls. And
so hold on. So you brought them from farming non-organic to organic, less pesticide and all that. That's the change you're implementing in there, or?
Yes, I mean, all these marketing keywords like organic, I don't really focus on that myself.
No,
that's
I mean,
what they're focused on. I get what you're saying. That's kind of where their focus is, but I try to work with them towards going just natural approach. I give them the example, like, why is it that the forest can grow without man coming in and interfering, but then we come and grow things here, and all of a sudden we're working to the sweat of our brow every day and night, spending just huge amounts of resources to make things grow when the forest is sitting there doing it all without us. And I use examples like that, and I've inspired them to take me on and take on some of this man's dreams to really push things towards the way the forest would grow without us having to come in and constantly waste our time and our efforts and our energy on those things. So we can have the time to think and contemplate and, get away from the high-speed machine, the rush, the distortion of everything. Because once we do that, and I've seen them too, like the more they grasp in the things I'm talking about, the more they start thinking of things and asking things. And they'll come to me, like just recently, Leslie, the woman, the wife of the man who owned this property, she sent me an email just thinking, hey, I thought you'd kind of like this. She was talking about how much organisms there in the soil and this and that. And it's all science stuff, but like this was something she was never interested in before. And all of a sudden she's very interested in now, and she's inspired. So yeah, like they've invested some of their fictional dollars into some of these compost teas and getting some brewers going. And they've allowed me to park my motor home here free of rent, free of charge. And they've given me about 1/8 of an acre of space that is just barren and only grows weeds hardly, and they've given it to me with complete, trust to do my thing with it. And I've shown them some inspirations and things I want to do with it, and they're just fully on board and fully trusting.
Where are you in USA? In USA, you are? You're in Canada?
Yeah, in Canada, British Columbia.
Oh, you're in BC. I didn't know. I thought you were in USA. Oh, you're Canadian. You're here on this side of the border, on the Babylonian border.
Yeah.
Oh, that's great.
No, it's interesting too. Something I wanted to bring up, how when we set our intentions into a dream, like when I left Australia, I left in all sorts of chaos and all that stuff. But there was something that was like Arthur said, I've been inspired by Adrian with compost, and it was this little spark, and it was just igniting, and it started spreading, and I noticed it, and I was like, oh man, that's pretty neat. And I didn't really think much of it, but I knew I wanted to go that direction. And like I look back on things that have taken place from my coming back from Australia to now, and it's just I can't help but laugh and just kind of shake my head about it because yeah, it was me setting my intentions towards something and everything just seemingly unraveled just perfectly, right? I mean, obviously it was me setting my intentions and making things happen, but I look back and I go like, geez, that worked out. Like I'm living on a vineyard free of rent, being paid to work for them, but also being paid to help the dreams of kingdom along, you know, getting back to growing food and inspiring people to grow their food and take responsibility for things. It's like that's exactly what I was dreaming about when I left Australia. And like, and it was all as the effect of me dropping more and more of my bullshit, getting rid of all this. And like, I'm very honest with people as honest as I can be. And like, even with talking about,
we have to mention also you've been in Australia with Arthur. If some people don't know,
I've experienced a lot.
Yeah,
through all that. Like,
we held right. What happened to amplify this? We hold a dream. He came into this dream that we hold that we're responsible for. We're caretakers of this dream. Aiden also came into the dream, and he came and brought what he to the dream. Aiden laboured in that dream for the 1.5 years. Scott came laboured in the dream during the time Scott was here for 6 months. Others have come and laboured for the dream. We laboured for the dream for years. So we have garden beds and that. But the legacy carries on. The life of what Aiden brought here carried on. The life that Scott brought here carries on. As long as we don't let it go, this is the point. If we don't let it go, then everything is done for the dream that we hold was not for nothing. But if we let it go, if we let go of the dream, then everything everyone done for it will be for nothing.
Well, it's like holding that too and being able to share it with others. Like me and Aiden had that dream, and we didn't leave with nothing, so to say. We left with inspiration, and we took that with us, and now we're creating it.
That's kingdom.
You know, that's exactly. It's not like you own the dream, and okay, if you come here, then you can have some of it. But as soon as you leave, fuck you. You know, it's no. Come here and learn and share and grow with us.
How many arguments did we have? I mean, you think about how many times that you and Aiden and I had arguments, and we had heaps, but we were fucking working, and we had a lot of fun along the way too, and yahooing and shit stirring and everything else. But
I got to learn how to be confronted and how to confront.
Exactly. That's why you don't
grow spine.
But that's the legacy.
That's what I learned with Arthur also. That's what I've learned with Arthur also.
When you hold a dream, the legacy rubs off on everyone. So when you come into the dream of life, that legacy of our ancestors rubs off on us as well. You see, so it's that's where the selflessness comes into it. We just got to hold that dream. Everything that Aiden brought to it, even though there are things that we didn't agree about, things that Aiden didn't agree about, we still went on. And the inspirations of what Aiden brought to the dream has continued to thrive here. You know, it continues to thrive. Even though Aiden has places in his life that are still issues he has to work out. Even though Arthur has places in his life he's still got to work out. Even though Fiona has places in her life still got to work out. Scott and all of it. We all got fucked up issues. But we don't stop. We don't have broken wills. We do exactly what we have to do from that inspiration, so we are not underneath someone else dictating to us anymore. And this is how you break the system down. This is how you shatter it. Right? And so when you get brothers and sisters who come from that space of love, that real space, you can nurture each other. We don't come in there with scripts and smash each other. We nurture each other while we're working together. And it's in that the system collapses. And we use it as compost. We use the money. We use everything and let it all go. And that's the bridge we build to cross it. And that's why we do it. But you've got to take full responsibility to hold the dream. Scott's doing it. And I'm sitting there going, wow.
And I'm
feeling grateful that because see, look, we use this Christian analogy, not the Arthur Christian, Fiona Christian, the Christian religion analogy, you know, that they talk about God loves us and all this stuff, right? And I say to them, you know, because a lot of Christians think that they'll never be as good as God and all this stuff. And I say to them, look, a mother who loves their children unconditionally would dream for their children to do even greater things than them because it's undefined. You not restrict them into stereotypes where they will always be less than you. You don't create children to be disabled, you know, to be done something that they'll never ever commit who you are. You want them to do greater, because that's what true love is. It's unconditional. That's why you don't listen to anyone who criticizes you and has a go at you, because they've already been broken. They're all the signs of people being downtrodden for so long. You ignore all that. You keep walking that talk. The thing is this, when you love your children unconditionally, you're no less than the creator that loved man and created man, because man was dreamt to be even greater than the creator, because that is undefined, unconditional. But we don't know what the limits are, because we've been told that there are limits. There are no limits. You can go beyond anything in the moment, right? So when you hold a dream and we're custodians, it doesn't mean we are control freaks. It doesn't mean that we are power trippers and ego trippers. It just means we are accountable. We are responsible for holding the dream and not to corrupt it and to boot out anything that has an intention to corrupt it, which is what your immune system does if it's healthy and strong. You don't let anything come in to steal you, to steal your dreams, to steal your life. So that's what accountability is. This is why the political correctness and all these bullshit things that have been coming in for the last 25, 30 years is to continue to disempower you into a state of apathy and denial and weakness, where all you can do is talk about everything on social media, but there's no real action in your life for those who are still stuck in just talking about it instead of living it, breaking out of the system, breaking out, stop being real slaves, right? People like Jabba's girlfriend saying Scott's a slave to Arthur. I would love her to come and let's see this slavery at work, and she should come and visit you and see how this slavery is working thousands of kilometers away for us, you know, in Canada, you know, all this sort of stuff. She doesn't.
We told Scott when he left, we told him, it shall come to pass. You shall go back to Canada and you shall become a compost freak, and you shall get work at a vineyard, and you shall find land on that vineyard and be given some. Yeah. We told him all that, didn't we? We did.
It's in the Winter's Hardware magazine. Yeah. Just hang on, Scott.
Chapter 42, verse 16. Look, and it shall come to pass that Scott shall go back to Canada.
Here it is.
And he shall work at a vineyard and make compost.
See that torch of light? That's the prophecy, Scott. That's the prophecy, bro. We've prophesized your future.
You see, Scott didn't plan any of it, and Scott didn't make anything happen because he's a slave to us. Yeah, so, exactly. So obviously we set it all up, and that's how it's happened.
And this is the hypocrisy. The ancestors' legacy gave us the air to breathe, gave us the mountains to enjoy, gave us the sun to shine, gave us everything, and we desecrated. We desecrated with our stupidity. And when we go after brothers and sisters and attack them for no reason, because you don't know who they really are, and you're just making up bullshit because you're downtrodden and broken, what you're really saying is, fuck you, fuck the legacy, fuck everything that ever was before me. Everything that you still need right now to give you the body that you live in, you're saying, fuck you, I don't want this body. Well, I just say, dig a hole and throw your body in and bury it now. And we'll use it as compost and do something productive out of it. If you don't want to make something productive out of the legacy gifted to you by all your ancestors, right? That when you hold the real dream, we are more than just this, because who we are is not here in the name, squeezed name box. Who we are is the whole dream of life, right? We're not stereotyped that way. So when you get people like Polo running this bullshit campaigns, that's because she's broken down. She really is broken down, and she's embittered, and that's why she takes it out on others, because it's just mirroring her own shit, right? Don't listen.
You know what? I think we all are, but some of us controls our emotion more than others, or our action more than others. But I'm
well, they don't blame others. They don't blame others for their predicaments. That's the difference. They don't blame others and make them responsible. The ones who really are what you're implying, they take that responsibility and they do something and they communicate. And that's why in a space of love, you don't go in there with love for life scripts and smash people over the heads who are innocent because they happen to be not whatever the reasons are. Because you want to nurture the space, not to fucking create a hellhole, shithole in it, right? And it's there that you get the real compost of our life energy, creating remedies to further on that legacy. So Scott's got a legacy, but Scott, your legacy is here too. What you've done here is still here. Why would I turn around and say, fuck you, Scott, fuck this, fuck, and write you off when I'm already experiencing things that Scott's done here? There are so many reminders of Scott's life here and Aiden. Why would I want to crucify my brothers for the time they were here? When we hold this dream, when I think of the garden, Scott's there. When I'm thinking of the garden, Fiona's there, or Hannah, or Aiden, and everyone else has come. When I think of this man's life and where this man is, I think of all my brothers and sisters who've nurtured this man along the way. Who we are is not this name. There's so much more to us. We're not in that way, and that's the true consciousness. Why would you go and destroy everything that's gifted, what you have now, to open your mouth and talk shit?
And we're not the fucked upness,
Eh?
all the fucked upness that is all around us. We're not that either. So if you
Exactly.
it's fucked upness and you just put that in front of them, be like, well, this is what you're doing. This is your fucked upness. Now I can't associate with you because you fucked up. It's like, well, yeah, you completely ignored who the man is. Even like all your brothers and sisters that have inspired you and me, it's like they were all fucked up to a certain extent, but still they inspired me. They've helped the dream along. They've shared love in their own way that they could at that moment. Why, like you said, why should we make them wrong for it?
Consumerism of the system is saying fuck you to the legacy of all the ancestors that gave us the mountains and the rivers and everything that's been done.
Yeah.
While we go as consumers in the shops and using consumers of petrol and motor cars and all the things we do, internet, technology, we're all hypocrites. We're actually saying fuck you. Fuck you to everyone that ever was.
And we do it to our parents as well. I mean, as fucked up as our parents might be, how many of us have taken on that dream of fucking off, running away, and not helping our parents anymore? They take care of us for 18 years of our life. They love us. They put everything they possibly can, whether it's fucked up or not. They do the best they know how to do. They give it all to us for free. And yet, like me coming to Australia, like I was talking in another video, I basically said, fuck you. I didn't appreciate what they had created and shared with me, even in all its fucked upness. And I said, screw you. And I completely turned my back on them. I realized what I did down the line, and I've said sorry for it, and well, not sorry, but I've made amends with it, and I've been expressing with him and opening myself up to him. But in the moment, yeah, it's the same thing we're doing with other people. We don't appreciate the men and women behind it and what they've sacrificed, even if it is in that state of fucked upness. There's still beauty and love there underneath it all, and that's what we should shine our lights on, right? We don't look at the darkness and bring it all up and be like, oh, look at this is your darkness, this is this.
Don't give them the reason with their shit to turn your light off. That's what you don't do. You make it, in fact, when you see that shit, oh, good, I'm going to brighten it. I'm going to make it even brighter now. I'm going to get out and work harder in the garden, whatever, not as a victim to slave labor, but that inspiration. Don't let it ever bring you down, no matter what people say. Because the true freedom is at the local level, how each of us lives in creating abundance through our creation and giving it free and open as gifting, because that's how the system disappears. And if when you get 2, 3, 4, 6, 8, 10 of us doing it, and you suddenly get 20 and 30 and 50 and hundreds of us doing it, there's no more system anymore. It's gone. Because everyone's too busy being creators of abundance, creators of that joy, and the sun is shining through everything of the living. And we may produce children or children's children that will return to that pristine, undefined reality and be like when you can dream birds and watch the bird just fly away from the hand. Our ancestors are phenomenal, and we've got that in it. It's all built in right now. We're just asleep, truly asleep. And the arguments and the criticism is to keep that sleep going, because that's what argument, this criticism, all this Frankenstein stuff, it is sleep to your true consciousness. So don't let them keep you asleep or bring you back to sleep. Don't forget who you are. And that's what we say in much of our work. Fiona I've had moments where I've absolutely lost it in rage over the years. I have lost it. And she was there for me. She gave me the space to let me just get it out of my system. I might have thrown a watering can, thrown a shovel, whatever. I'm just going through whatever the hell I'm going through that's still locked inside the body of this man. And this man is just expressing whatever it is to say, you're not, mum, dad, whoever it was, you're not breaking my will. You're not breaking my will, and as this is unfolded, there's more and more peace and calm over longer periods. I don't have these frenzies reappearing as much as they used to. So all these years of what we've been working on together, the closeness of our relationship has gotten stronger, but we're not close together as in she's in my pocket, I'm in her pocket. If anything, we've moved further apart like that. But in doing it, we've become closer together because we created the space. So she can feel her life in that space as this man can feel his life in that space. And so the dream is alive and dancing with our lives. And I don't need Fiona to live the life this man lives. She doesn't need me to live the life she needs, but that she lives. But we share it freely. And that's how we all should be with each other as friends and brothers, and hold the dream, hold the big picture dream of that, and be responsible for it. So you got to know who you are. You got to know what is the dream that you're holding, that you're accountable for. And if it has confusion in it, you're holding confusion. If you're holding doubt in it, you're holding doubt. And so it will appear. If you're holding anger and rage and whatever you're holding in it, it is what you will experience.
Okay, but if I hold a dream, inside this fucked up system, will I ever know who I really am?
That's up to you.
I will always be like someone that takes a role inside this matrix, because we're all compromised. So if I'm compromised, no matter at what level I'm compromised, I always act in the system. So will I ever really know who I really am?
Well, let me
because
ask you
I'm always compromised in some way. Then?
Let me ask you the question. The depth of the Love for Life insights. There are no books out there to tell you about it. There's no tongue to tell you before you come across it at the scale of what this man's done and put it out there in 2005. There was nowhere. How come this man could do it, right? And yet this man's still alive, still doing everything this man's doing. How come this man could do it? This woman can do it, right? And now we have all these people who are dancing with these insights. Whether they're running with scripts or not is a secondary thing in terms of that. Now, how did that happen? Now, that can't happen if this man has a broken will. You have to have the passion. You've got to have the passion and the determination to not accept second best, to continue. And in fact, what this man did is, I no longer accepted anything that was being told to me by anything anymore. When I got to realize what sense and nonsense was back in 2005, why I went after David Icke and all this stuff when David stayed at home back in 96, when I realized what he was really doing and the psyops behind it. What I'm getting at is that we are capable, each of us. We're not answerable. We don't measure the worth of our lives against another man. You never measure who you are against any man, because that's wrong. That's a right and wrong too. You just do what is that you're inspired to do, and don't let the doubt or uncertainty get in the way of it, because then it amplifies and intensifies, and you put more and more energy into it. And then you look back and go, wow.
I mean, Scott's just given you the prime example. You know, he didn't plan going back to Canada that I'm going to do this and this, but his inspiration that he had towards composting and learning more natural ways to, you know, make agriculture more like the forest led him to those steps, you know. And that's the thing I think we mentioned the other week. It's not about having all the steps planned out, it's that intention. And yeah, we're all compromised, but you can sit and focus on the compromises, or you can focus on what you want to achieve and what you want to do. And in doing so, you work around the compromises while you have to. But you don't worry about, you still don't worry. It's like Scott said the other day as well on Facebook or whatever, you know, you should be able to be in a prison cell, tortured and captured, but you can still choose to shine that light. So whatever your compromises are, you can still choose to shine that light and be that dream and be that inspiration. So you don't worry about the compromises, you know. It's just, they're the last. If you focus on them, they'll become bigger and bigger and stronger and stronger.
Okay, but knowing who we are also comes with knowing and possessing also and expressing all our original, genuine power that we been built with. So will I ever know in a lifetime all that power, being able to express all that power because of being compromised into a system? This is more my reflection.
This is where your selflessness comes in, and you don't worry about whether you will or not. You're doing it for the generations to come.
You just do what you look. This man pointed out there's a couple of things that'll give you clues not to define the way I would define a man for you to live that model. It's that your senses what you smell, what you hear, what you see, what you touch, what you taste, what you feel, they are always unique and original to you. They will always be your experience. And even if you explain the experience to someone else, it's still not the experience, because what you are doing in the experience, in the doing of what you're sensing, is who you really are. So the more you hold that experience and don't let it be stolen through definition, because when you accept definition, you're giving up the experience for someone else to provide you with the definitions of what you are experiencing. And this is how you get hijacked, right? So the more that you sense through your eyes, through your ears, through your nose, this is your living dream. And the more that you direct your life force energy into the experiences of all that sensorama, you are expanding a living soul, because it is undefined, which only you, each of us, can create. It can never be explained. There are no alphabet words. There are nothing anywhere that can help you with this. It's always been a lie. Each of us has been given the vessel from our families and all the legacy of our ancestors, but we are all given the free will opportunity to create a living soul that aligns with the eternity, attunes with the eternity of everything, and that existence is perpetuated forever. It's eternal. We're creating and adding, creating and adding, creating and adding and expanding, but there is no time and space constructs or measurements. There's no levels, planes, dimensions, first, last, anything like this. None of this is going on. So you can't define a man. So get past the doubt and uncertainty when you're talking English or French or whatever, where you're looking through the window of measurements, Masonic measurements, occultic measurements, as in compass and square, because it is part of that mapping out of bullshit, of nonsense. That's still this language we're talking. And if you're not conscious, you'll keep thinking through this mapping of definitions that you're relying on to say, well, this, what am I? Who am I as the man? You don't, when you wake up, you don't even think like that. You're being it already. You're already doing it, but you don't trust it. And the more
not that I don't trust it, but it's the part when you say also that we are more than just the body, more than just this experience. This is the part I cannot sense, because I sense that I'm here in this body right here and now. But to me, but hold on, being in that dimension, like feeling that stuff that you're talking about, to me, I would find more power there too. So that would mean that if I get to know who I really am in this time, in this life, I should access that power that is outside of this conceived program stuff. That's why I don't know if you get my intent behind my reflection.
In the water of our breath, which is the water of all water that we call air and consciousness and sky, and it's in everything, inanimate or not, is water in many forms. It contains the senses of the flower. So you can smell it. You may be here, and over there is the life form. And between that life form and you is the water. And you're sensing the smell right now while the life form is there. You can hear the creature in the forest. You can hear the breeze. So who we are is not here, because what you're sensing is all around us, but it's not in a measurement. It's not defined in the box of what we call Arthur Cristian with a name. It ain't mapped like that. When you truly attune to reality, it's already everything that is all around us. And I'm not talking about round as in round earth. I'm just talking all of everything is already what we're experiencing. It is the insect, it's the breeze, it's the sunlight, it's everything. We have been brainwashed to think we're walking around in a body and that it's defined as a name.
Whoop, Arthur's frozen. He's gonna come back eventually. No, but that's very, very interesting what he's saying there. Scott, until he come back, he's probably gonna shut down and come back. Go ahead. Give me your opinion on this.
Well, I mean, a lot of the stories that Arthur shares about his experiences, it's hard to experience for myself if I haven't had those same experiences, right? So when he talks about, us not being our bodies. If we've only ever experienced the programming that tells us that we are our bodies, then thinking about a man who's experienced not being our bodies and not having that experience, it's hard to live for his experience, because if we did, it's bullshit. So, I mean, it's a story. It's not meant to be taken as your truth, obviously, right? It's not meant to be garnered as your perspective. So, I mean, take it as a story, inspiration, something to think of or contemplate on. And maybe down the road, you might experience something along the lines of what Arthur was talking about, obviously in your own unique way, and then it'll kind of be like, oh yeah. And like, because a lot of things that they've talked about at the time when I was visiting them in Australia, I had no comprehension of it. I'd never experienced anything like that before. But slowly, a year and a half later, there's little things that jump up at me and go, oh, fuck, that's what they were talking about. Oh, that's what they were talking about. I get it now. Okay. So, I mean, don't ever, shut anything that people are saying out with stories. Don't live through it, but just accept it, hold on to it, remember it. If it has any sort of truth to it, you'll know at the moment. And later on down the road, you might find that it is something that is very truthful to you. And like a lot of it is too, like the more the lies that start getting peeled away, the more the truth of the matter starts coming up. And once you experience that, not like, I've had small little experiences now where I've been very present in the moment, centrally, not really feeling my body. And if now I'm not feeling my body, like, how is it, can you really say that you are your body if all of a sudden there's something else?
And that's also probably the one of the reasons some people get rid of pain bodies. Like, I have a major knee pain, so maybe if I'm more focusing on this part of being, I can get rid of the pain, also the pain body.
Maybe. I mean, there's been plenty of stories of people doing these things. Obviously, again, there's stories, and tell you experience for yourself, it'd always be a story. But there's a lot of experiences out there, many people that if you start putting them together, it can kind of give you a sense of what could very well be the truth of the matter. Like Arthur's talking about, where, our ancestors being the creators who created the birds, the mountains, and all that stuff. I mean, obviously, in our state of mind, we think, well, we weren't there to see how that happened, so how can that be at all true? But slowly, like with my story of how coming back from Australia to now, I'm looking back at all these things that had happened and seeing how when you do hold a dream, how things become real and are created out of that dream, and they become physical. But at one point, it was not. It was just a thought. It was a dream.
It's to materialize it. The step to materialize your dream.
Bring that forward more. All it really means is when we live without that disconnection from life, and we are purely 100% connected to life, there's none of that nonsense that's telling us that we can't create like that, and we can't make physical out of non-physical, if you want to call it like that. Then maybe, it could be the point where in the moment we create life out of our hands in that moment, because we are purely connected with life. What that would feel like, look like, I have no idea. If it is actually true, I don't know. But I've sensed little things about that leads me to think that, there could be some truth to it.
And I think that's why also together we're manifesting now the dream of life, because we're taking action. Without action, nothing's gonna happen. So the more of us that come out like this and start to reason and reflect on the deeply our deeply fucked up state, let's call it for what it is. Maybe one day we'll find we'll have enough light and we'll move out the darkness.
If that's the intention of the man, that's where it'll go, right?
Yeah.
If you only doubt your ability to bring it that way to the dream of life, where we're all living, free from each other, then that's where it'll go. But if you have any doubt of it and you think that it's impossible, or you see, like, very often I get stuck in that the doom and gloom, and you look at just how big everything's become and how just crazy it's becoming. You go, oh, how can we possibly fix this? It's just too big. You get stuck in that doubt and uncertainty. You start becoming unconfident about your abilities to change it. And all of a sudden you stop holding that dream where you can be that creator who destroys all the bullshit, all the nonsense.
But it's okay. Just believe in yourself.
Well,
But it's
apologies
also-
for the interruption. We didn't pay Bill Gates. Bill shut us off.
I was just going to say, with reference to what Scott was saying, it's also then learning to look at that bigger picture, as we mentioned on one of the shows earlier. In fact, all the destruction that's happening right now has only been going for really, in lineal terms, a very, very small amount of time. you know, in terms of since the Industrial Revolution and the pollution and all that sort of stuff. So really, why should we doubt that Earth cannot, with our help, with our dreaming, that Earth cannot write everything, you know, in 50 years or something? It doesn't take long.
The more we let go of the conversation that's been put in our heads, the insect that we're sensing is where we are. The tree and the breeze is where we are. The sunlight is where we are, right? We're not here. We're not here. We're there. But we're everywhere. And that's our true consciousness, because that's what senses are. And the more we allow that and you go with that, you're already living your life. You already are the man. It cannot be explained. There is no thought of a definition for that. It's already there before any thought appeared in your head. You already are that. And it already arrives as the womb, right? So where the occults do the opposite. When the occults say, oh, that's Mars and Venus, right? What they're saying is Mars and Venus is here, not there. It's the other way around. But when you're sensing the celestial bodies, you're there with what you're seeing, right? So when people say to you, that's a mosquito, right? The mosquito's here, not there. And that's the self-obsession. And that becomes the frenzy when you're repeating it, because you're thinking, oh, that's a fly, that's a sparrow, that's soil science. This is Elaine Hingham's. This is permaculture. This is Love for Life scripts.
Naming and labeling things, and we're doing that to each other. Also, we're naming and labeling each other.
Mapping everything. When we give up the mapping, we are all there, everywhere.
Yeah.
We're not here in that way, because we already are. You see, and so if you contemplate on this, contemplate on it. The water of our breath is as far as our consciousness is prepared to expand. And it's not lineal. We take it as far as we dream it. And we're there, where we've always been, with all our ancestors, where they've always been. And everything else that's come in our head as a conversation that told us that we're here, because when they give you a date of birth, the date of birth is here. The date of birth ain't there.
Yeah.
It's not in the land. It's not in the birth certificates registrations office. The land title deeds aren't in the land titles office. It's here, between the ears, in the obsession of that frenzy. Right? ABC 1, 2, 3. It's not in the forests. It's not in the oceans. It's not in the birds and the trees and the wind and the insects. It's not in Fiona. It's here, in the definitions, where this man has holding this lying dream. And when we run with it.
Someone is asking a question, and I find it interesting. Could the internet shutting down be the best thing for humanity?
Yes. I
Could
think
it be?
No
Could it be?
computers. No, you know, see, you imagine, get rid of all the electricity, get rid of all the computers, get rid of all that. What's going to happen? Everyone has lots of time to sit and contemplate. Plus, everyone's got to get busy growing some food. It would be the fastest way to mass healing.
I think so.
There'll be a lot of chaos first.
when this man had that 2 week sleep, and I do not remember where I was. I have no recollection where this man was. Just a tiny little glimpse, what I talked about yesterday. The man could zoom to a conversation right over there and listen to the conversation, could read fine print, kilometers in that direction, and read it. Was showing me that the consciousness was there, not here. Everything is all around us. So the more that we let go, the true communication is there. With Scott, with Scott's right now. With Jahnick right now. It's there. Across the water of our breath. Right? It's not on the internet. Because the internet is here. The internet's here. The internet's here. The internet, but it's not there. Because we gave it up. We sold out that gift for the prosthetic of telecommunications and communications. So everything of the system comes as a handicap. It comes to fill the void of what we gave up naturally. We all can talk. All the ancestors could talk, communicate, like nature. Like when a dog comes to smell, the information, I was mentioning this, I think, in a previous video, the information, it can't even be contained in a library, the amount of information the dog gets from one sniff. Because what the dog is sniffing is everywhere. It isn't just define a smell to you, because who you are also connects. The dog will know where you've been, where you walk, what you've been eating, where you pooed. It has all kinds of information out there. Where we've been out there. Right? So we have to overcome the doubt and the uncertainty that makes us think that we're here. And we have to hold and fight inside the frenzy of what we claim is here. When in fact, who we are has always been here and there and everywhere. Because that's what our senses are. And the more we reconnect with and listen to our senses and contemplate on it, we are pulling out of the matrix, breaking the prisons of this lie, and being the true consciousness that's undefined, with every other brother and sister that's undefined. And with our grace, with our charity, and with that kindness and all those virtues of unconditional love, we have paradise. And every man is free to be what that man is and not answerable to another man. And we're not persecuting anyone because someone claimed to have an idea that's better than another man. And you don't have conversations, but if we don't have this, we're going to have chaos, we're going to have war, we're going to break entry. All that is a lie too. It's what keeps you perpetuating the lie, the doubt and the uncertainty on who you are, and the doubt and uncertainty placed on your brothers and sisters to perpetuate this hellhole state, this fallen state where we've fallen into here, in this little tiny fucking piece of paper, and say this is a birth certificate and was given a name. Who you are is not the name. Who you are is everything you're sensing right now, undefined. That's where you are. Right now, I'm smelling Scott. Right now. I can sense Scott right now. Because I can hold Scott's image. Because he was in my life. I can smell it.
I've experienced
it.
I've had experiences with you guys like that as well.
I can sense when Scott's happy. I can sense Scott when he's got some issues. Look, it's happened twice here where Hannah, I was in this room where Hannah is around, you have to go around this spaces around to another part of the house. And I got this strong instant, get off the chair and run around. And I did, because I came and saw Hannah wanting to slash her wrists. She was about to slash her wrists. And I went and said, what are you doing? This is early in the piece when she was here. Right? Now, I sensed it. I was there. I wasn't here. I was there where she was. So I was there as her brother. And she didn't commit possible suicide in this house because I hold the dream, but none of this shit happens here. You're going to do it, you do it somewhere else, but not here, if that's what you really want. Now, she's come a long way from this. That's just one example. I mentioned the video yesterday about the 4 men in a car that wanted to come and kill me and Xanthi.
You remember with when I had gone out with Xanthi that one day, and there had been some happenings where I kind of left her behind. I didn't take as much care as I should have when we had gone. I was on my longboard and she was on her bike, and me and you ended up having very similar dreams that night. Do you remember that at all, Arthur?
Yeah, sort of.
Kind of reminds me of what you're talking about too, is how we're very connected, even when we think we're not in this unconscious sleep. You know, we still wake up and we find ourselves connecting on certain things. Like our dreams were so similar. It was unique in their way and how they happened, but the message behind it was spot on. And like I was saying too, like
any parent will get that. You know, your child can be not with you, but you can sense they're fine.
Yeah.
Or you get a sense of, I just got to go and check. what's
Yeah.
going on. You know, any parent, it doesn't have to be an awakened parent. Any parent has that because they have that connection to the child that just tells them, oh, they're fine, I don't have to worry about them, or tells them, oh, I've just got to go check up because I'm not 100, you know, I think they might be in a bit of trouble now or something like that, you know. And so we can all do that for each other if we choose to.
It was pretty wild. I've been meaning to tell you guys, just it's on my brain now, but I was out in the vineyard one day and I was thinking of you guys, and I got caught up in this, just, I can't even explain it, but I completely sensed you fully and like 100%, and like just had tingles and just weird energies all over my body. And I just like, all of a sudden I just like felt that elation and joy, and felt like
Was I naked? What?
yeah, well, of course. I mean, that's the image that started it all. But no, it was interesting because like these things that for my logical mind is going, what the fuck? This doesn't make any sense. But in my heart, I'm feeling things, and it's just, it doesn't matter to make sense to it. But I know for a fact that what I'm sensing is you guys. And this happened to me also. I'm not sure if I ever told you when I was in Australia where I'd sensed my grandfather, who's not with us anymore. But it's just, not what one point was I with my grandfather ever thinking my grandfather previous to that, but all of a sudden just this feeling came over me, and I was like, "Oh, my grandpa." Crazy.
Because
and
they heal.
recently, and she actually told me that she had asked my grandfather to look over me in her own way, however she did it, and it was just interesting how it all came together. I mean, I can logically put together the pieces all I want, and it wouldn't make any more sense, but it's just there is something quite profound about it that is starting to make
That's
more
how we
and
talk
more
with
sense.
animals, Scott. We talk with animals like this. We talk with the wind and the rain. This is how we change the weather too. There was one experience that I had where we had this massive cloud front, massive storm coming northeast towards the back of the property. Would have come across the coastline, heading across Sydney from Newcastle, whatever it was. And I contemplated on it and saw it as not being here anymore. And it went like that. I'm not joking. It happened. And I'm thinking, oh, every other man who was dreaming for that, I've just taken it from them. I've interfered with their free will. They needed to experience that, if it was a cyclonic conditions or tornado, whatever it was going to be. It happened before my very eyes. And I've met people who talk about them creating weather. They can make it rain. We can stop the wind. I've had experiences. Now, you know, with the data coming, oh, no, we do. We are gods, but not gods to worship. We are the gods of responsibility of the dreams, you see. And go on, because
well, we had an interesting, a few years ago, quite a few years ago, we actually went to visit some people more southwest where it's very, very dry in Australia. They'd had drought for ages. You know, it's really flat land. I think they've got one hill around, but we organized, we still had our old dog and the old cat, and we organized, a woman came to house sit for us. So we were with her for a night or something before we went. And anyway, we got talking about, she had spent a lot of time with Aboriginals here, and she was a rainmaker. And so we got into this whole subject of rain and talking about rain, and we were talking about how dry it was when we were going to get there and stuff. And we actually all contemplated on rain for that. And as we were getting there, we got to Wagga, which is about 3 hours from here, and it's about halfway more or less there, and also a dry place. And we went to have a picnic just by the lake on our way, and it started to rain. And I remember then just saying, just hang on a minute, let us finish. So it actually did, it stopped. But then we got to the place where they had barely any rain, and it rained for 2 days. And they'd had no days. But the other really interesting thing that happened was a couple of days on in this trip, their son-in-law had a horse, and I was on the horse and I was holding Xanthi. So he was leading us. It was a big horse. I was just holding Xanthi. And I remember we got some spits of rain, and I said, it's going to rain again. And he said, it won't amount to anything. And that split second, I realized how we cause all the droughts, because his certainty was, nah, it's not going to happen because we live in a drought infested area and because we don't get any rain. So that's absolutely what he was creating. So all the people living in that area who have that story whirling around in their heads of, we never get rain, we're in a drought, we never get rain, we're in a drought, we never get rain, we're in a drought.
Yep.
Hey, presto, that's what they get. And so, you know, we really do create all of that.
Because who we are is the weather, because we're there in the clouds. So we have anger. The anger is in the storm. Anger's in the earthquakes and the lava. The anger is in the tidal waves, whatever. That's where we are.
That reminds me of that experience I had at the reserve where I almost got struck by lightning.
But it's interesting because also the you know, we get so caught up in the words running around in our heads. Because I only realized, I don't know, so a while ago, a year ago, that one of our dogs is a little bit of a worrier, and she would sometimes in the evening come rustling up to me, and I could tell she was a bit worried or something. And I suddenly just clicked one day. I realized I knew every time what she was worried about, because this picture would just leap into my head. Though her water bowl was empty. She wanted to be put to bed. She wanted this, or you know, and I suddenly realized I actually could sense her perfectly. It's just I'd never realized I could sense her perfectly, because all the things were rolling around in my head. And once I learned that, I found I could sense her even more. That once I learned not to doubt, that she could run up to me with a little worry in her thing, and I would be able to know what it was. And in the same way, I started to try and use pictures if I want to communicate to the dogs. Obviously they're not going to get my thoughts, but I try and put a picture in my head of what I want from them. And you know, sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. But we get so caught up in communication being this lineal word-based thing that we forget that the rest of nature does not bother about any of that. It's like another guy who came here he said, I went to try to talk to the sea, and I sat on the beach and I tried to talk to the sea, and I didn't get anything. And it wasn't until later I went, well, obviously the sea doesn't talk. Of course you can't talk to the sea. You've got to sense the sea. Now, if he'd gone with the idea of sensing the sea, maybe he'd have got further, but he was still stuck in this thing where we all assume that communication can only happen when we're hearing the words in our heads. And we forget to, and unfortunately all the words running round and round in our head are blocking all the things that we are actually sensing. As me with the dog, I wasn't, even though I was already sensing her, I was blocking it out with the words running around my head.
Because the sea, when we're sensing the sea, we are the sea.
Exactly.
That's where we are. Yes, and the thing is that we had a guy, another example, slightly different, but same kind of brainwashing. We had a guy turn up here with this new type of water filters, and maybe you should explain it. You know, because
you've heard about.
You heard about this, so you know, and you start going.
Well, he had these snazzy water filters that worked on the energy sort of thing, you know,
vortex.
Changing the vortex stuff, and what he should have done was give us 2 totally different waters to try, and not even tell us that what he'd done, and see if we notice the difference. But what he did was say, hey, look, I've got this great thing, and it takes the chlorine out instantly. You can use it on tap water, blah, 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 blah. And it turned out that one night I was busy, but he started talking to a couple of younger people we had there about it. And I just wasn't involved because I was doing something else. Arthur was on the net or something. But it was amazing how quickly they were convinced they had to have this water filter. They had to have it because, hey, it's been taking the water out, and suddenly the filtered water that we were drinking was shit and awful, and they had to have this water filter. And yet, when we tasted it, you could taste the chlorine. The chlorine was still in there, you know, but it was how quickly their doubt and uncertainty.
It's the placebo effect.
Yeah, and the doubt and uncertainty in them and their bodies that made them feel they could not carry on without this.
They
water
created
filter.
a frenzy with the picture book story of that product name, and with everyone else who's added their energy in the frenzy of that product, who you are is now caught up with every other man and woman, child who's in the frenzy, right? Just stuck on this water filter thing. And that's what happens. We get stuck in these frenzies. This is what religions and all the cult, everything's like this. And, you know, and I remember, and I said, okay, so we take some water from it, and I'm just drinking chlorine. I'm going, nothing's changed. But the other, I won't mention the names, but the others, they were adamant there was no chlorine in it. And I'm thinking, what? So they went and tried it again. Oh, they could taste the chlorine. They started, I said, hey, this, and the poor guy who came up here, I actually told them this is just all bullshit. It's all placebo effect. And these are selling in the tens of thousands, or probably hundreds of thousands now across the earth, right? And you pay serious money for these things, you know, $1,000, whatever it is. But the whole thing is a scam, because it's just a placebo effect, and you can get a cult around a water filter, just a water filter, you know, and everyone in the frenzy of it.
Next week it would be interesting to touch those subjects, the hypes and the frenzies and all that stuff, especially like the buzzwords we have around and stuff. So to demystify that a bit, like especially the water. Some say distilled water is very good for you. Some say you don't find that in nature, so you shouldn't drink it. So that's the type of thing I would like to have your opinion on, if you don't mind.
Okay.
For this week, I have to let you go because I'm on a taxi duty. I have children, so my car is transformed in a taxi once in a while.
Cool. It was
Yeah.
great. I look forward to Scott. You're going to come on next week.
Yeah, I mean,
I would like it, Scott. It's a great vibe. I think it's we can keep on and also touch the frenzies and the hype and the buzzwords and all that stuff. Maybe we let go a bit of the self-obsession. We've been traumatized, all of us. We have been guinea pig enough. We can let go a bit and just maybe kind of move, really focus on remedy and creating a new vibe. We need a new vibe. We need a higher vibe.
It's already there in our senses. All right. Cool.
Yeah, it's already there in that sense. Exactly.
Cool. Great
So,
seeing you, Scott.
big up, everyone, and thank you very much, everybody. Also in the chat, there was a lot of people. I didn't have to do the police thing, so I didn't have to interfere, or so I would like to keep it that way. I don't. I'm not here exactly to police anything, and we shouldn't police each other and censor and stuff like that. But if we are respectful, we can give our opinion. But again, an opinion's an opinion. You don't change the world with opinion. You change the world with your example, with action, with putting your work, your life work in motion. Your dreams. That's how you inspire the people also that are living in the dream. I look up to people who are men and women of action. That's what I like to have around me. You grow from people in projects, not flakes. There's enough flakes. There's enough people that are in the default state. So you do epic shit with epic people. So that's where I am. Boom! I'm out.
Cool.
Bye.
you guys.
Confusion clouds the soaring of my brain, and I don't see what I do, and I don't hear what I say. But my way is the one and only way. So I'll give you my fake smiles, ignore you while I nod. Approval is the name of my fake game as I measure your responses to my carbon copy words. I love you, but I stab you in the back. I help you, but my will is not my own. I'm sitting on the fence of doubt and fear, my heart firmly encased by conditions of conceit. The freedom of the dreaming of my heart is suffocated by the righteousness of victimhood. The snarling beast of jealousy lies waiting to attack those who raise their fearless heads above mediocrity. So we murder others of their dreams with petty grounds of spite and poison resolutions strong with phantasmic views. But I love you, I don't hate you, I'm just trying to work things out. Yes, I want to, and I'm going to. I just want to find the time. Yes, I like you, but your thinking is not something I condone. I'm so sorry, I just had to. There was nothing else to do.